Another early morning and another early morning Planet Doug podcast. It is 6:14 on Thursday, December 5th. And I don't have any big stories to tell this morning because I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still here in the city of Medan, staying at the Wisma Sederhana hotel. My original plan was to land here. My flight from Jakarta landed at the Kuala Namu International Airport, hopped on the airport train into town, and my idea was to spend like one night here and then take the train back to Tanjung Balai. But I got started up doing a few things here, and it's a comfortable hotel. I like the neighborhood, a low budget sort of environment, so I'm comfortable here. And I have more, as always, I just have more things to do than I realized. And a couple of days have gone by quite pleasantly. And one big change is that when I was in Jakarta at the Zest Hotel, there was an Indo Maret there. And while I was inside the Indo Maret, I noticed they had a little bit of I wouldn't call it a pharmacy, but they have a place where they're selling headache medicine, cold medicine, things like that. And I remembered that simple cold medicine helps me sleep. Anything that has sort of an antihistamine built into it to dry up a runny nose. I mean, you see on packages like that. I remember the old days in Canada. For colds, I would always take a medicine called Contact C. And those types of medicine always have warning labels on them saying that this could cause drowsiness. Or you get different versions of it. One, they say, could cause drowsiness, and one wouldn't. And then I would track down the chemical, the actual, like what do they remove in order to make it non-drowsy. But anyway, there's a drowsy version and a non-drowsy version. And I think the medicine, the drugs that make you sleepy, or that make me sleepy, tend to be antihistamines. So I was looking at the cold remedies there at the Indo Maret, and I saw a couple of them that I think had the active ingredients that might make you drowsy, where they would tell you, don't operate heavy machinery when you're taking this cold medicine. But I bought a couple of packages, and the last two nights I took one before I went to bed. And man, what a difference that made. Very small thing, but just having that little bit of extra help got me through the night, sleeping so much better. And then when you get a good night of rest like that, you dream as well. You dream so deeply. And your dreams are not always welcome, but all of them are a sign that you're really sleeping well, and which gives your body and your brain time to repair itself. And that links directly with your mood. I'm a firm believer in that I've noticed the pattern in myself so strongly that, say, at night, the night before, you might be feeling out of it, a bit down, a bit depressed. You don't have energy. You don't have you're not feeling emotional. You're not feeling inspired. You're just lacking any kind of motivation. And then you start agonizing about the choices you've made in your life, and you're basically unhappy, and you're trying to figure out what you can change in your life to make you happy again. And I was just chatting about this with a friend of mine, this whole concept of happiness, which I don't have much patience for anymore. Happiness is for the young. The young can believe in happiness. But when you get older, it's just an illusion. It doesn't really exist. There is no such thing. And the very concept of happiness is so vague and arbitrary. And everybody means something different by it. And it leads to so many platitudes and empty expressions. And so anyway, the concept of happiness is not a very useful one when talking about being a human and being alive. But you may, on an evening, come to the conclusion that you're not very happy right now. And you think you have to make all these big changes in your life so that you become happy again. But then, if you get a good night's sleep, like I did, you sleep really well, you wake up in the morning, and suddenly you're happy. You know what I mean? Whatever that word means. You just feel better. The sun is brighter, the days are better. You just feel good. And nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is you got a good night of sleep. And suddenly the world seems like a rosy place and you're just feeling so much better physically and mentally and emotionally. Anyway, I'm just saying there's a remarkable difference in my state of mind between a normal night when I don't get any sleep, and then a night like the night before and last night when I slept really well. So even though I don't have stories to tell because I haven't gone anywhere, I haven't really done anything, I'm here recording a podcast over my morning coffee because I got a really amazing night of sleep. Yeah, I could even feel it when I was walking around the room. You do that big cat stretching, it's like, stretching. And when you don't get any sleep, you don't feel the urge to stretch for some reason. That's what I've talked about this before. That's why you see it in mattress commercials when they're trying to convince you that this or that mattress is the most comfortable in the world. They always show the person waking up in the morning and stretching luxuriously because we all know instinctively that stretching is a sign of someone who got a good night of sleep. When you wake up in the morning, as I normally do, exhausted from the night, you don't stretch. You don't have that instinct. You don't have that reflex to stretch. You only get that when you have a good night of sleep. And then, it feels so good to stretch. Stretch out your back and your legs and your shoulders. It's just something your body wants to do after you got a good night of sleep. And that's what I was doing this morning. I was stretching like crazy. Feels so good. My voice sounds a little bit rough though. My voice doesn't feel like a man who got a good night of sleep, but maybe that's because of the air conditioner here. It's air conditioner placement is something I think about a lot because I spend so much time in these low budget hotel rooms where the air conditioner is not always the highest quality and it's blasting at a high level, and they're usually situated on the wall such that they aim directly at the bed. So you've got cold air, or as cold as the machine can muster, blowing directly on your face the whole night. And that can go into your nose, into your mouth, and it dries out your throat during the night, I think. So, yeah, I think the air conditioning can lead to a little bit of a rough voice, which I have this morning. And as always, one of the first things I'm thinking about when I wake up is technology, and that relates to this podcast, because I knew I wanted to record something, and this podcast can be, or not this podcast, this journal can be recorded in 3 different ways. I could write it down, which has a totally different feeling. Writing is always the one I prefer, to be honest, because it's more leisurely, it's slower, it doesn't feel like there's a ticking clock going on, it's easy to do, it just feels good to write. It has a different quality to it, it has the best feeling. But it also takes longer, say, than just talking. Me speaking into this microphone as I'm doing is the fastest and the easiest way. And the other option, of course, is just set up one of my cameras and then I can record audio and video on the camera. So I did wake up this morning and my instinct was to record on video just because I'm in a relatively comfortable environment and I think people like video even if I'm just sitting on a bed. But it's just so much easier to record audio. And that's what I was thinking about. Like in this room, for example, there's no chair. Normally with the GoPro, I have to put a chair on the bed over my legs, and then I mount the GoPro on the chair. And then, because it has to be very, very close to my face. If I had my Olympus camera with me, which I don't, I do have a zoom lens on it. And like not a big zoom, it's like a wide angle zoom, but I can set it up farther away and zoom in using the lens. But I don't have that camera with me, just the GoPro. Anyway, I was looking around this room briefly, and there's just no way to set up a camera. Yeah, there's nothing I can put on the bed. There's no way to set up a tripod or a grip anywhere. So I thought, I'd have to rig something up. I'd have to go all MacGyver and figure out a way of doing it. And I didn't see an easy way. I could get it done. I can usually get anything done that I want to. I can figure it out. But I'd probably have to do a lot of furniture rearranging, move the bed. There's a little bit of a vanity there. I'd have to move the vanity. I'd probably have to sit on the bed different, like instead of lengthwise, I'd have to sit widthwise against a different wall. And then, of course, you got to charge up, think about all the battery charging and changing the batteries. Anyway, it's a lot of work for something, and it's so much easier to record audio. So here I am recording audio. And I don't know if I was speaking about this at all, but speaking of recording audio, when I was in Kuala Lumpur, I went shopping for a cold shoe mount. The idea was to use that cold shoe mount to put it onto my phone grip, and then I can put a Rode Wireless Go receiver on the grip, plug it into my phone, and I'm good to go. And in the past, I didn't do that very often because there was a certain complexity. There's always this complexity to plugging a microphone into a smartphone. Do you use, like, what does your smartphone have? Does it have a 3.5 millimeter jack? Or does it have only a USB-C port? And then if you plug in a microphone, chances are it's not going to work. And it could be because you got the wrong cable. You need a TRS to TRRS. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the manufacturer of the cable, the manufacturer of your phone. And then sometimes you have everything right. You've got the right cable, you've got the right connectors, plug it in, and then you still don't get any audio because whatever program you're using doesn't access that part of the microphone, that part of the audio signal, or you end up recording from the external, like the built-in mic anyway, even though you've plugged in an external mic, or you record internal media sounds inside the phone rather than your voice. There's so many things that can go wrong, and this is part of my ongoing diatribe that shooting video with a smartphone is not nearly as easy and convenient for me as a lot of people will talk about. However, recently I discovered that, I don't know how I missed this, I don't know, but there was an update from Rode that added a lot of new features, and I don't know whether this update changed everything for me, but now on all of my phones, I've installed the Rode Central app, which is the app that controls their microphones, which I normally do from a laptop. I didn't know that there was a mobile version of the app that can do all these things, but the new firmware for the Rode Wireless Go gives you the ability to treat the microphone as a USB drive. So you can simply copy and paste the audio files directly from the microphone into a smartphone without having to use the Rode Central app on your laptop. It's very, very convenient, but it also apparently helps with using the microphone as an audio source because for whatever reason, I decided to try plugging it in with a USB-C cable. So USB-C to USB-C, and when you do that, the Rode app pops up on your phone automatically when you plug in a Rode device, and it takes over audio control for your phone, and then it automatically connects with all the software on your phone and delivers the audio from the Rode directly to whatever app you are using. So that was a pretty incredible discovery. So now I have a lot more confidence. So I mount the Rode Wireless Go on my phone. I plug it in, not with a TRS to TRRS cable, but with a USB-C cable, and boom, it just connects automatically every time to everything. I haven't had any issue since I started doing that. And I can use it to do voiceover directly into a video. So if I happen to be editing a video on my phone using Kinemaster, if I plug in a USB-C cable, it just automatically, the audio goes directly into Kinemaster. When in the old days, I was always using a TRS to TRRS cable, it was hit and miss. And even there's a start-stop recording button in the Kinemaster app if you want to do a voiceover. And then sometimes it would connect, sometimes it wouldn't. And I would have to do it over and over and over. I have to keep hitting the start record button and until I finally got it to maintain recording. And but with the USB-C cable and the Rode Central app, works. So far, it's worked perfectly every time. I have total control over it. So, yeah, so I was very happy about that. And when I was in Kuala Lumpur, I was hanging out with a couple of other YouTubers, my favorite YouTubers, Daryl from Wander Eats, and Expat Peter from Expat Pete, and Bill from the International Big Shot. And at one point, we were talking about microphones, of course, as you do. And DJI came out with a mic mini. It almost looks like a shirt button. It's a tiny microphone system. It's designed to go along with the big boy, the DJI Mic 2. That's their main wireless system, which has a receiver, 2 transmitter microphones, internal recording, 32-bit float, Bluetooth connection, all the bells and whistles. But now they've released the Mic Mini, which is the little brother to the Mic 2, and they are tiny. I think they're almost round. They're not exactly circular, but they're like square with rounded corners, so it looks a little bit like a square button. Very, very small, very lightweight. But they also they can come in a package with a receiver and 2 microphone transmitters that can be both recording at the same time. So you could buy that whole kit, but they're much, much smaller, much, much lighter, much cheaper than the Mic 2. And they do have Bluetooth connection. Of course, they have wireless connection, but they're missing internal recording. They don't have 32-bit float audio, and they probably have some other bells and whistles that they're missing. But overall, they look like a really nice set and much cheaper than the full Mic 2. And they sell them separately. So I was thinking, wow, that's kind of cool. So at the last minute, I was thinking about buying just one of the Mic Minis, because I don't need the receiver, I don't need the 2 mic combination. All I was looking for was something that would record directly into a smartphone via Bluetooth. And I thought that would be a very convenient way to record audio on my smartphone. So I started looking into it, but then I ran into some dead ends. The main one was I couldn't figure out whether Bluetooth worked, because DJI did something magical with their system where they're using a Bluetooth protocol on their microphone transmitter and their receivers and their cameras in particular, that they just get a really nice connection and get good quality audio. But as soon as you use that Bluetooth connection with a non-DJI camera, the audio quality drops considerably. And from what I've heard, it just sounds terrible. So, and, well, I can't connect with a GoPro. Well, can it? I think the GoPro Hero 13 has Bluetooth capability. My 12, I don't think it does. But when I hear it, I think it does with the 13. They connect to a DJI mic with Bluetooth, but it doesn't sound very good. It doesn't sound nearly as good as it does using a DJI camera. So there are issues with using the DJI microphones with non-DJI products. And I could not figure out whether the new DJI, what's it called, Mic Mini, will work with my phone. It's a funny thing when you're talking to other people. Like I was talking with Daryl about this over breakfast at Yut Key, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it works great." And well, he didn't know about the Mic Mini because he doesn't have one of those, but he said, "Yeah, the Mic 2 Works beautifully. Yeah, it'll connect with a Samsung phone. And he's telling me how it works. And but of course, in his case, he's using the S23 Ultra, the Samsung S23 Ultra, which is the not. Is there an S24 now? Maybe there is. But anyway, the S23 came out, I guess, last year or within the last few months or something. Anyway, it's the brand new flagship model, and he uses his DJI Mic 2 with his, maybe he's got the S24 now. Yeah, I think he upgraded. He has the S24 Ultra. And he says, yeah, it connects no problem. So then I think, oh, wow, that's amazing. So it does connect with Samsung Galaxy phones. But then, of course, I don't have the S24. I have the S10 Plus that I'm using, which is many years older than what he's using. So then you have to be careful. You know, your friend, your fellow YouTuber tells you this works, but then you have to follow up. Oh, okay, maybe it works on your S24 Ultra, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work on my S10 Plus. And I see that all the time when I'm babbling about my SIM card issues in Indonesia, because 9 times out of 10, people will leave a comment saying, you know, oh, you dummy, Doug, you're just being a dummy again. You just need to get an eSIM that'll solve all of your problems. And of course, I always respond, well, no, it won't, because A, my phones can't use eSIMs. Maybe your phone can use an eSIM, but my S10 Plus can't, and my Note 10 Plus. Neither of them are eSIM compatible, so they're right out of the question. And of course, it doesn't really solve my problem, because the problem in Indonesia is not the eSIM. The problem is the phone and how it's registered with customs. And the customs registration expires. But of course, no matter how many times I tell that story, I feel like I've told that story 20 times by now at length, and I still get comments from people saying, hey, just get an eSIM, that'll fix everything. And then I have to always reply, it's not the SIM card that's the problem, that's not the issue. I talked about it on video for an hour and a half, so you'd think I would have gotten the story across by now. It's the phone registering the IMEI or the IMEI number with customs. That's the problem, not the SIM card. The SIM card technically has nothing to do with my issue. But anyway, that is human nature. I always tend to speak in very precise specifics. Like when I'm talking about something, I'm usually drilling down to a very detailed level about what I'm talking about. It's something very, very specific. And when you're trying to get that idea across to someone, unless they're living in your brain, unless they see what you see, unless they're having your exact experiences, they're not really going to grasp what you're talking about. And you have to tell people the story 10 times before it finally gets across. And usually you have to give it to them, because I'm always talking about problems. Why not, right? I mean, if something it works beautifully, you don't have the same instinct to talk about it. But if something breaks, something goes wrong, there's something you can't do, then of course you tell the story because it's a more interesting story. So I do tend to be talking a lot about struggles, problems I'm having, why this won't connect with this. And then people want to help me out. Obviously, people are very kind and generous, and they want to help me out. So then they offer solutions to me, thinking, oh, this will fix your problem, just do this. But of course, most of the time, the solution being offered it doesn't work. It's something, of course, I've already considered and already tried, and I knew it wouldn't work because of the situation I'm facing. The specifics of what I'm trying to do means that simple solution, no, it isn't going to work. And it's hard to get that idea across. But anyway, after I spoke with Daryl, and he showed me that, oh yeah, you can connect a Bluetooth to a Samsung Galaxy phone, no problem. And then I went away thinking, I've got one more day left in Kuala Lumpur. I want to go out and buy one of these little guys. I want to go out and pick up a DJI Mic Mini And the reason I wanted to get one was because I've started recording video a lot more with my smartphone, and I've gotten some pretty poor audio with the built-in mics. So I thought having one of these Bluetooth connections would be pretty helpful. And you can buy just the mic mini on its own, just the little button mic. You don't have to get the whole package. So it's pretty cheap. Wow, relatively cheap for what these things are. Maybe $50, $60 or something like that. 50, I don't know exact price, but it wasn't outrageously expensive. And I thought, well, I'll go pick one of those up. But then I couldn't find any. They're not for sale in stores anywhere that I could track them down. And when I was looking online, I could not get confirmation that the Bluetooth would work with my S10 Plus. You'd think it would be easy to find that information, but in this case, I freely admit I'm a dummy. There's something wrong with my brain when it comes to internet searches. I'm always looking for stuff on the internet. I cannot find it. I cannot locate the information I'm looking for. I have some kind of a blind spot in my brain for this stuff because I can't find something, and then I tell a friend, hey, I can't find this, and 2 seconds later they send me a link to where I find this information. I don't know how they found it. I don't know what search terms they used, but I struggle. But anyway, I was unable to get confirmation that it would work with S10 Plus, and most of the information I found told me that it wouldn't work. The websites, the forums, the guidelines, whatever I found, everything said, no, it won't work with the S10 Plus. So that kind of took the wind out of my sails. But then as I was doing the research, I discovered, I didn't even know this. You'd think I would know, because I have Rode microphones. I actually have 2 sets of Rode microphones. I have the original Rode Wireless Go, and I have the Rode Wireless Go 2. I bought the new set that comes with 2 microphones, and that's what I use all the time. And I still have the original Rode Wireless Go, so I have 2 sets of Rode Wireless Go microphones right now. And so I use Rode all the time. I'm researching Rode. I'm always on their website. And somehow or other, I missed that about a month ago or whatever, they released their own version of the Mic Mini. And it is called the Rode Wireless Micro, Ultra Compact. And I didn't know it existed. But as I was researching the DJI Mic Mini, I realized Rode had the Wireless Micro. And it's very different from the DJI Mic Mini. Like for one thing, it doesn't have Bluetooth. So there's no Bluetooth connection at all. And it's designed specifically for smartphones. So the DJI system, you can connect it to either a smartphone or a camera. So if you buy one of those, if you're in the DJI world, like you have a DJI Action 4 or Action 5 camera, I think obviously you would buy the DJI Mic Mini because that can connect via Bluetooth and you get good audio, and it can connect to a phone and to a camera. It can do all of those things. But the Rode system tends to be a little bit more targeted. They don't go for these broad compatibility scenarios. They design products for kind of more specific purposes. And the Rode Wireless Micro is designed only for smartphones. That's the only thing it does. It cannot connect to any camera. And I was chatting with Daryl about this, and that was the first thing he said. I told him, yeah, actually, I'm not interested in the DJI anymore because I'm more interested in the Rode. And then he wrote back and said, why? Like, why not get the DJI? Because it can do both. It can connect to a phone and a camera. You're getting 2 for 1, which is perfectly logical. But in my case, I don't need 2 for 1. And I don't even want it because, to be honest, what I've heard of Bluetooth audio, to me, it doesn't sound good. And again, to my ears, even the DJI mics don't sound good to me. The Rode sounds better, It has just a fuller, richer sound. And one thing I like about the Rodes, I could be imagining this, but they seem to let in more ambient noise, which I like. So if I'm riding a scooter recording with the Rode, I hear the noise of the engine and I hear the noise of the traffic around me, honking horns, whatever's going on around me. You hear that on the road, but the DJI philosophy seems to focus a little bit more on noise cancellation. They want to block more of that noise and isolate the voice of the speaker. And most people seem to prefer that, but I don't. I find it has an odd artificial quality to it where you don't get the sense that this person is out in the world. It sounds a little bit like they're inside a recording studio because it's blocking so much of the ambient noise. So I've never quite been sold on DJI mics in general. I prefer the sound from the Rode. But in this case, that isn't the reason I prefer the Rode. The DJI, it can connect via Bluetooth, but it can't connect for me. So I can't even use the Bluetooth. So Daryl was saying, why don't you buy the DJI? Because you can use Bluetooth. But in my case, I can't because the Bluetooth won't connect to my GoPro. And as far as I can tell, it won't connect to my phone either. And even if it did, I don't think the Bluetooth quality would be good enough. It wouldn't be very good. But at the same time, I already have the Rode Wireless Go 2, and the way I shoot video, the way I use my gear, plugging in a receiver is not a big deal for me. I don't mind it. And I kind of prefer it because the sound quality is better. It just, I don't know, it doesn't bother me. So what I would end up doing is, even if I had the DJI mic Mini, and even if the Bluetooth worked and would connect to my GoPro, I wouldn't even use it. I'd have the capability, but I wouldn't use it. I would continue to use my Rode Wireless Go system. I would just plug in the receiver and use the transmitters as always. Everything, it works perfectly fine for me, and I have no issues with it at all. So I'd continue to use the Rode Wireless Go with my GoPro, so I don't need the Bluetooth capability. So the fact that the Rode Wireless Micro doesn't have Bluetooth and can't work with cameras, those two disadvantages don't make any difference to me because I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't use the Bluetooth, and I wouldn't use it with a camera anyway, so it doesn't make any difference to me. And then we get into an interesting part of design where, because the Rode Micro is not designed to work with cameras, that meant they could focus specifically on making it good for smartphones. So the receiver is very thin, very elongated, and is designed to fit neatly into a smartphone and be out of the way and be unobtrusive. So I really like the physical design of it, especially when I look at how I use my smartphone. I've got this Ulanzi grip, and the Rode Wireless Micro would slot perfectly into position on this phone. It would be absolutely ideal. Yeah, the only issue now that I'm looking at it is the Ulanzi grip, because, yeah, if I turn it around and I'm filming myself, now the receiver would be blocked by the Ulanzi grip. So there is a question of whether the wireless signal would still reach it or not. Yeah, I'd have to think about that. I'd have to test that to see if that would work. But anyway, yeah, when I was in Kuala Lumpur, I discovered this Rode Wireless Micro, and I was pretty excited about it for a hot second. And if I bought it, I would go for the whole kit. Rather, I don't think they don't even sell them individually. You have to buy the whole kit or nothing. One receiver, 2 microphones, and a charging case. And yeah, so it'd be quite a bit more expensive than buying one DJI mic Mini. So that's one big disadvantage there, I guess, for the Rode system. But then, after being excited for a hot second, my enthusiasm disappeared because I couldn't buy it anyway, even if I wanted to, because it's just not available. I guess it came out like a month ago, and you can order it online. I saw a couple of like on Shopee and things like that. You could order it, but it would be coming from Hong Kong, and it would take a month to get there, that sort of situation. So, yeah, it's not available in stores in Malaysia. You can't buy them in Malaysia yet. So I just gave up on that anyway. So, but anyway, as I said, I discussed with my cold shoe mount on my smartphone and this discovery that the Rode Wireless Go connects quite easily using the USB-C cable. That's probably what I'm going to do. And I've been experimenting with it, and yeah, it works pretty well. So, yeah. So that's where I am with audio. I am still quite interested in this Rode Wireless Micro, but that will be for the future. If I ever have the money to pick up one set, I think it would come in very, very handy. I certainly like the design. Oh yeah, I did want to say one thing about design. There's like a design principle where you can have one tool to accomplish one job, or you can have a multi-tool. And that gets into the whole Rode versus DJI debate, where the DJI mic system is more of a multi-tool in that the DJI Mic Mini can do many different things. It can connect by Bluetooth, it can connect to a receiver, it can connect to a smartphone and to a camera. So it's basically the Swiss Army knife of microphones. The Rode is very specific for one purpose. It only uses a receiver and it only works with a smartphone. But the advantage to that focused design, one tool for one job, is usually that that tool is better at that job than the multi-tool. Because the multi-tool, the design of it has to apply to many different situations. So you have to compromise in terms of its design. If you have, it's sort of like, it's pretty obvious, but say you have a, you have a Swiss Army knife that has a corkscrew built into it. Well, the corkscrew works, but it doesn't work as well as an actual dedicated corkscrew, like a full-sized big corkscrew that you might have in your kitchen. It's very easy to use, and it can take a cork out of a bottle of wine very, very easily with no effort. The corkscrew in your Swiss Army knife, it can remove a cork from a wine bottle, but it's a lot harder, takes a lot more technique to learn how to use it, and then quite often it doesn't work at all and you end up in trouble. So, or you got again, a Swiss Army knife will have a screwdriver built into it, and it works, but it's not as good as an actual dedicated screwdriver. So a screwdriver works better than a Swiss Army knife if you're trying to screw something in or anything like that. Basically on and on and on. A multi-tool does many things okay, but individual tools do one thing very, very well, and that's generally a design principle. So I do often end up with multiple tools rather than a multi-tool, because each individual tool tends to work better than the multi-tool. So yeah, it's just sort of a design principle that I've always enjoyed and paid attention to. Yeah, especially as a cyclist, because if you go into a bike shop, they're very, very big on multi-tools. Every bike company in the world has produced their version of the bicycle multi-tool, and it will be something like 50 tools in one. And this one thing, they tell you, can do everything on your bike. It can undo every screw, every bolt, tighten everything. It can tighten your spokes. It can break the chain. It can, this one tool, it's the only tool you'll ever need, and it's a very compelling sales pitch. But those multi-tools tend to be such a pain to use. So much better to have dedicated spoke tools. I mean, try to get your wheel back in true using one of those multi-tools. it's a problem. But then if you have a dedicated spoke tool, so much easier to use, and on and on and on. So I prefer to have individual tools as long as it doesn't get out of hand, because you can't buy one tool for everything sometimes, because then your tool bag will end up weighing 20 pounds because you've got too many individual tools. I guess you just have to find a nice compromise there with that. So those are my technology stories for this morning. In terms of stories from my day-to-day life here, I guess I have a couple of things I can talk about. I've really been enjoying the location of this hotel, the Wisma Sederhana in Medan. I haven't been going out in the city exploring because I spent time here in Medan before, and I went to various museums and heritage houses and markets and shot videos in all these places. So I don't really need to do that. There's other things I could go visit that I didn't have time to before, but I'm more focused mentally on getting back to Tanjung Balai eventually. But right in my neighborhood, there's just a lot of restaurants, and so I'm going out and getting some pretty nice meals in the alleyways outside. The one restaurant I want to go to so far, it's a place that I shot a video about when I was here before, where I asked the owner if he would mind if I came back and put a microphone on him and talked to him about the history of the place and then talked about the food. So I tried to turn it into a little bit of a bigger food video than I would do normally, and he said he'd be fine with that. So whether the video worked out or not, that is what I did. And so I got to know the owner quite well, and he served a really nice meal, very elaborate, filling meal at a pretty good price. So I went back there many times, my last time here in Medan. And I've been trying to go back there this time, but I've been waking up so early in the morning that my rhythm is out of sync with the world around me, which it normally is, to be honest. But every time I go out there, I'm hungry and I want to have like a late lunch, early dinner. Nobody's open yet, and that particular restaurant has never been open yet. So I still haven't made it there, but I have been eating at other places. One place I really like is this place that makes Hainan chicken rice, Hainanese, like nasi ayam. And I've been there twice already, I think. And when I went there the first time, I was expecting the meal to be relatively simple because chicken rice, right? You got a bed of rice, put some chicken on top, and you're done. Maybe some cucumber on the side. But they go all in. I think a lot of these restaurants in this food street, this food alleyway, they have a reputation to uphold, so they make even their simple meals more elaborate. So they give you a lot of side dishes, and it makes the meal a bit more expensive than a normal chicken rice would be. It's 50,000 rupiah for what they serve, but it is really nice with all the other side dishes that they serve along with it. And then I went there yesterday as well, because they also open early. The other places all seem to be closed. There's like this amazing bubur ayam place, which is like a breakfast porridge. And I was so excited when I saw that restaurant here before, because I thought, oh, I'm going to go there every morning to get my morning bubur. But they don't really treat it as a morning bubur. It's like a dinner bubur. So they're never open whenever I go outside. They don't open until nighttime. And I'm just not a big nighttime eater. I do my eating earlier than most people. So, but anyway, this Hainan chicken place is always open whenever I go out there. So I've gone there twice already. And then I went there yesterday, had the exact same delicious meal. And then the guy who made my meal was really taking care of me because he noticed how hungry I was. I've been eating one meal a day since I've been here, basically. And my one meal is the meal I get from his place. And he noticed I was really wolfing it down. And then I ordered a second plate of rice, because you get one plate of rice to go with all the chicken and side dishes. And I thought, and I was still hungry. I just powered through the rice, and I asked the server for another bowl. And I think the guy noticed, so he brought over a second bowl of soup, because you always get soup with your meal. And this is a pretty hearty soup, very hot, it's a big bowl and filled with a lot of vegetables, like a lot of cabbage. It wasn't just broth and nothing else. It had food in it. So he brought me a second one, and I was very happy to get that, and I ate that bowl. And then he brought me a third one. I guess I didn't notice that he was watching me, but I guess he watched me, and I got down to the bottom of that bowl. And then what I always do, of course, I scoop up every last bit of soup, and then I pick up the bowl and then pour the remnants in my mouth. Like I drink the last bit, so I really clean out that bowl. So he probably saw me lift up the bowl and then drink it and then completely empty it. So, oh, wow, that's bowl number 2, and he ate that. I better bring him a third. So he brought me a third bowl of soup. So I had a very good meal yesterday, very filling meal at that place. And again, it was my one meal of the day. And something I really admire about the Wisma Sederhana, I often talk about how hotels seem to neglect. There's like a missed opportunity where they have a captive audience. They have people staying in their hotel, and if they had a little shop down in the lobby, they could probably make a lot of money on the side, but most hotels don't seem to take advantage of that. They don't do anything, but here they have a couple of shelves, and they stock some candy, some potato chips, soap, shampoo, razors, cleaning products, just little things, like a little convenience store, basically. And they have a cooler with cold drinks. And quite often, I've been to hotels in the past, like places that I've gone back to, and the first time I go there, I might see a little shop like this and a little cooler, and I'm very happy. But then the next time I go back to that hotel, that whole system has fallen apart. Like they've stopped stocking the shelf. The cooler doesn't work. It's not plugged in anymore. Or they hardly have any drinks. They stopped storing such a variety of drinks. So the whole system sort of gets neglected over time. But here it's gone the opposite way. I saw this system before, and now on this trip, they've expanded it. So in fact, I think now they have 2 drinks coolers, and they're selling beer as well as Coke and orange juice and cold coffee. They're actually stocking more and more drinks, and they put in an ice cream freezer. So now it's just like going to an Indomaret right in the lobby, and it's amazing. And they have a nice menu printed up showing you the prices of everything. Just somebody here is on the ball. Someone is really organized, and I really appreciate that. So, and they have a little restaurant in the lobby as well. So if you don't want to go outside, you can get a nice meal right from this little. I don't know. Maybe some of the rooms here come with breakfast. Mine doesn't, but I get you could go down there and buy a meal if you want to. So yeah, I admire this place for that. They're pretty organized. And of course, I've taken advantage of it. I bought a Coke from them, a nice ice-cold Coke. I bought an ice cream. I bought a roll of Mentos. If I'm sitting up here in my hotel room recording a podcast, and I could go for a Coke. And I pop down there and grab one. I think it's a brilliant idea. It's such an obvious idea. Again, I don't know why more hotels don't take advantage of that. Maybe it's just too much work, too much trouble. I don't know. And the other story is quite an interesting one. I came back to the hotel from the restaurant. I had the Hainese chicken rice again yesterday, and I came back to the hotel. And as I walked through the lobby, I overheard a guest speaking to the hotel clerk in English. And the speaker, the guest, wasn't a native English speaker, like it wasn't a Canadian or American or Australian. It was a young Asian woman, but I could tell she was speaking English, and I didn't understand everything she was saying, but I heard a couple of words, just a couple of key words that made me smile, because it was this same conversation that I have had on multiple occasions. It was like I recognized it. It was like she was a mirror image of me, because what I heard her, what she was talking to the hotel clerk, and she was trying to get the hotel clerk to help her because she was trying to book a train ticket and she couldn't do it. And then I didn't get all the details. I just kind of walked past her. But she was basically saying, I went to the train station, but they wouldn't sell me a ticket. They told me the only way to buy a ticket is to buy it online. But I don't know how to do that because I found the website, but now I don't know how to pay for it. And it was exactly me. I mean, I ran into that situation twice where I landed at Kuala Namu Airport the first time, and I wanted to get on the airport train, and I couldn't buy a ticket because there's no ticket counter. Nobody accepts money. You can only buy the ticket using one of their machines or buying it online. And then I went to the train station, like physically walked all the way to the train station, stood in line at the ticket counter. I'm looking up at the schedule, getting all the information. I know what train I want, and I go to the ticket counter and say, hello. I show them in Google Translate, I would like to buy a ticket for the train to Tanjung Balai on Saturday, leaving at 8 in the morning. And they look at me and say, no, you can't. You can't buy a train ticket here. You have to buy it online. And of course, I look at them like they're insane. It's like, what do you mean? I'm at the train station. I'm at the ticket counter. And I cannot buy a ticket? And they say, yeah, that's true. You can't. You have to buy it online. And that led me down this rabbit hole last time where I downloaded the train ticketing app, which is called Access by KAI. And then at that time, what I had to do was download the app, open an account, which was really hard to do. Took a long time, but I opened an account, figured out how to change the menu system to English because their English menu was sort of hidden. And then I could book a ticket, but then I had to bring my phone to the train station. How did it go again? Show it to them. No, how did it work? I guess I was thinking they had to print something out for me, and then I brought it to Indomaret, but maybe not. I think I just booked the ticket online using the app, but then I had to go to Indomaret to pay for it with cash. They gave me a receipt to show that I paid for it. Then I went back to the train station, handed them the paper and my phone, and then they finally printed out a ticket for me. So that was my experience, and I went through the long process of figuring out how to buy a ticket online. Now, here was this young woman, this poor fellow traveler, and she was having the exact same conversation. But I went to the train station. I wanted to buy a train ticket, but they wouldn't sell one to me. They told me I had to buy it online, but I can't figure out how to do that. Can you help me out? And then I hemmed and hawed a little bit. Obviously, I wanted to help her out, but then there is a little bit of a tricky situation. So there's some etiquette here. How do you do this? Because sometimes, in my experience, when people try to help you out, it actually makes things worse. Sometimes the help is a hindrance. So I sat down for a second and I was thinking to myself, okay, can I really help this woman? Can I do it? And I was thinking it through. I said, well, yeah, I think I can. And of course, there's also the sort of safety, security angle. I'm a man. This is a young woman. How do I insert myself into the conversation? She's going to look at me, basically stranger danger. This weird, strange man is talking to me now, trying to help me out. Can I trust him? Who is this man? I have to be careful. He's a stranger. He's a man. I don't know anything about him. So, I'm sort of balancing all these things in my mind, trying to think, okay, how can I do this? How can I approach? And I eventually concluded, okay, I should try to help this woman out, because clearly the hotel clerk wasn't helping. She doesn't really speak English. they were having trouble communicating, and I could tell she wasn't going to make any progress. And I thought, okay, I think I can help in this situation. So I did go up to her and asked her, so are you trying to buy a train ticket? And she said, yeah, I'm trying to buy a train ticket. And then she told me her story. I went to the train station and they said, no, they won't sell me one. I have to buy it online, but now I don't know how to do it. So I said, well, I think I can help you out because I was in the same situation. And I told her I downloaded the app. This is the app. And then you can book your ticket and then you can pay for it at Indomaret. But then I got in trouble right out of the gate, and I started to worry that I'd made a mistake because her situation was slightly different. She wasn't trying to buy a train ticket to another city. She was trying to take the airport train. And based on my recent experience, you can't pay for the airport train at the convenience store. That payment option isn't available. You can only use a credit card or the OVO eWallet or one other payment system that's listed there. So I told her, oh, it's so easy. You just book it with the app and then you pay at Indomaret. So that's what I told her. And then I was going to show her how it's done on my phone. But then she told me, oh, I want to go to the airport. And then I was like, oh, airport train. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I'm trying to explain to her, well, that's different. You can't pay for that one at Indomaret. You have to use an e-wallet to do it. And then things got even more complicated because it turns out she was from China. And of course, everything is different in China. I know that in China, everything is different because so many apps are blocked. They can't use all the same apps that we can use outside of China. They got the great digital Chinese firewall. And she has to do it. And apparently, this continues even when they leave China. So I told her, well, yeah, it's easy. You just go to the Google Play Store, and on the Google Play Store, you look for Access by KAI, and then you download it, open an account, and then you can book a ticket. The kicker, she can't go to the Google Play Store. It's not available on her phone. So I told her about this app, but then she's going on her phone, and I was watching what she was doing, but she was doing Google searches. And it's like she wasn't going to the Play Store. And it's like, no, you're not going to find it that way. It's like it's on the Play Store. And I was really confused for a long time. But it turns out, as she explained to me, well, we can't use the Google Play Store. It's not available on my phone. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this poor woman. I mean, I have access to the entire internet. And I'm having trouble in Indonesia because of all of the apps and the SIM cards and the iMay and this and that. Everybody's going cashless. Everything is being run by WhatsApp. And she can't access any of these apps because of her phone is from China and it's limited in these ways. It was so interesting to talk to her about this. And then eventually I had to say to her, well, okay, I told you I can help you, but it doesn't look like I can. I mean, your situation is, I have no idea what you can do. And then eventually I was just standing there and I couldn't be of any more help. I really couldn't help her do what she needed to do because she was really in a stuck situation. And I thought, and I was in a little bit of trouble because I told her I could do all of these things for her, but then it turned out I had the wrong phone with me because the phone app and my OVO e-wallet, they were all on my other phone, my third phone, the one I set up in Jakarta. And I left it behind in my room, and I was just carrying around my first phone, which is the one I use for everything else. So I didn't have all my phones with me. So then I basically said goodbye to her. And yeah, this was a really funny thing too. I always end up in these situations. I had bought some ice cream, and I was so excited about having ice cream for dessert. But then I had to balance. Okay, I want to help this woman out, but while I'm standing here talking to her, my ice cream is melting, right? So it's like, oh no, my ice cream is melting. So now I'm trying to balance taking the time to help this woman against my ice cream melting, right? That was kind of funny. But anyway, I finally said, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, maybe I can still help her, but I need my other phone. But I couldn't really explain that to her. So basically I said, okay, I'm sorry, I can't really do anything for you because of your phone from China. I don't know how to use that phone. And then I said goodbye, and I came up here to my room. And I quickly started eating my ice cream because it was half melted already. I was eating it as fast as I can. And I got out my third phone to double check that, well, maybe I can buy the ticket for her. But I wanted to make sure this was possible. Like, I wanted to check, okay, can I buy a ticket for someone else? And can I then pay for it, and then she can use the ticket? I didn't want to offer her this idea until I knew for sure that it was a possibility. So while I was quickly eating my ice cream, I opened up the Access by KAI app, and I went through the whole process. And there is a possibility, because when you buy the ticket, then you have to enter passenger details. So you can enter anybody's name. It doesn't have to be my name. So I could buy a ticket for her, and it would be in her name. So that worked out well. But then I thought, okay, if I put it in her name, can I still pay for it with my OVO eWallet? And do I have enough money in my eWallet? Because I wouldn't want to go down there and say to her, hey, I can buy a ticket for you, and I can pay for it with my eWallet. And then I get to my eWallet and say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have enough money in my eWallet. I didn't want to get her hopes up and then disappoint her. So I double checked that as well, and I had enough money in my eWallet, and I went through the whole process to confirm that I knew how to do it and I would be able to do it. And then I ate half my ice cream, and then I thought, well, okay, I got it all figured out. And I was worried that when I went down to the lobby, she would be gone. So I wanted to get down there as quickly as possible. So I ate half my ice cream. I got all this figured out. Then I went back down to the lobby, and to my delight, she was still there. And then I kind of held up my phone to show her, hey, I've got something for you. I think I can help you. But the funny thing is, right when I showed up, she was on the phone talking to some other people. She had the brochure from the airport train in her hand, and she was looking at it. And I think she had called a friend who was also in Indonesia and was trying to get help from her friend, and was explaining, yeah, I'm trying to get to the airport. I got to get on my flight, but I'm not going to be able to make it because I can't buy a ticket. And she was telling the whole story, all in Chinese, but I got the impression that she was doing that. So she was on the phone, and I showed her my phone and said, hey, I think I can help you. And then she sort of held up one finger to tell me, okay, 1 minute, just a second. I'm on the phone. I'll talk to this person. And then I sat down to wait. But then it got really funny because she talked for a long time on that phone call. And I thought, okay, I'll just sit here and wait. She knows I'm waiting, and she'll deal with that phone call quickly and then turn to me. But whatever that phone call was, apparently it was a very important one, and it was a long one. And she talked, and she talked, and she talked, and it went on for so long. It got to the point where I was balancing, okay, I'm trying to be a good Samaritan here. I'm trying to help this person out. I can buy a ticket for her. I can pay for it for her. I can do all these things. I've taken all the time. My ice cream is melting. But how far do you go? Because I waited so long, it started to get unreasonable. And I was just about to it's like, oh, all right. I mean, when is enough enough is enough, right? This conversation, she was on the phone, was so long, it got a bit weird that, okay, who would wait this long? I would, but it felt like it was very weird to be waiting this long. It's like, don't you have your own life? And technically, yeah, kind of I don't. I really love helping people out. I would rather help people go on their trip than go on my own trip. I enjoy, like, it's kind of weird. I enjoy helping other people have fun more than I enjoy having fun myself, if that makes any sense to me. I think I was born to be an assistant. I was born to be a travel agent, to be a tour guide, because me personally, I don't really know how to have fun. I generally don't have fun. I like working. I enjoy working more than having fun, because having fun just doesn't really work for me. So it actually makes me, I feel better helping other people have fun than having fun myself. But that's kind of weird. So eventually I got to the point where, man, how long have I been sitting here? 30 minutes waiting for her to finish her phone call? This is getting ridiculous. So I was getting very close to just getting up and turning to her and waving and saying, yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I can't sit here for the rest of my life. And then just as I was about to get up, I heard her winding up her phone call. And then she came over to me. And then, of course, there was this other issue, well, two issues. I wasn't sure how she was going to feel about this, that, okay, I can buy the ticket for her, but then she would have to take a picture of the QR code and of the ticket, because I couldn't really, I mean, the ticket is going to be on my phone. The record is going to be on my app. So she would have to, I would have to call up the ticket on my phone. She will take a picture of the screen, and then I can take a call up the e-ticket with the barcode that you scan, and she'd have to take a picture of that. And would she be comfortable doing that? That's the one issue. The other one is, to make it fully official, she has to enter her name and her passport number into my phone as the passenger details. And I wasn't sure whether she would be comfortable doing that. And I knew that, I mean, they don't check IDs. It wouldn't matter. I could print out, I could get a ticket in my name. She could use it to get on the train, no problem. But I thought maybe because she's from China, she's probably used to people checking ID very carefully. Everything has to be right. She probably wants the ticket in her name. So I said, yeah, you can do that. We can put your name into my system, but you would have to be comfortable giving me your name and your passport number, because it's now going to be on my phone. I want you to be comfortable doing that. And again, I'm trying to reassure her that I'm a trustworthy person. I'm not trying to scam you. I'm just trying to help you out. And as part of that, I use my YouTube channel all the time. So I introduced that into the conversation. I gave her my name card. Oh yeah, I have this YouTube channel. I shoot videos. This is who I am. I'm a nice guy. Don't worry. And I gave her the card, and she went to look at my YouTube channel, saw all of my videos, and that made her feel more comfortable because, okay, now she knows who I am. I'm a public figure. Obviously, I'm not going to try to rip her off or cause trouble for her or scam her. And again, the ticket is only 40,000 rupiah, which is $2.50. Plus, I'm the one paying for it. So clearly, I'm not trying to steal money from her because I'm offering to buy the ticket for her and I'm going to pay for it. And I told her, well, you don't have to give me any money. It's $2.50. It's not an expensive train ticket. I'll buy it for you. Here's the ticket. My present to you just to help you out. So don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Anyway, I'm doing everything I can to reassure this woman that everything is on the up and up. And then we went through the process. I booked the ticket. We figured out what train she needed to take to the airport. And then she entered her name, passport number, etc. I bought the ticket, and then I paid for it using my OVO eWallet. And I was so happy that everything worked out beautifully. I thought there was going to be a technological glitch of some kind, because I'd never done this before. I'd never bought a ticket in someone else's name. So I was just crossing my fingers because, again, I didn't want to promise this woman that I could help her and then fail. So I was doing something I'd never done before, and the chances of failure were pretty high. So I was really glad that everything worked out fine. Because in terms of paying for it with OVO, I'd done it at the airport in Jakarta when I bought my own ticket, but I didn't remember exactly how I did it. And in this case, it just worked out very easily because I was kind of surprised that the train ticket app, it somehow knew that the OVO eWallet was installed on my phone. It made a direct connection. I didn't have to make a connection, which I found kind of interesting because when I do this in Malaysia, I have to manually do it. So if I'm buying something and I'm using my Touch 'n Go eWallet, I have to log into my Touch 'n Go eWallet and confirm the payment and enter codes and go to the email and confirm it with this. It's a drawn out procedure. But here in Indonesia, it actually was better because when I said pay with OVO, an OVO window popped up automatically and it just said enter your OVO PIN. It's like, really? It's that easy? I don't have to log into OVO. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I entered my PIN for OVO and boom, payment went through. And the ticket was confirmed and paid for. It was really amazing how easy it was once you knew how to do it. It was even better, more efficient than the system that I used in Malaysia. So that was surprising. And then she took a picture of the ticket, took a picture of the barcode, and I tried to explain to her, everything, how it's all going to work. And then she insisted on giving me the 40,000 rupiah. I told her, not necessary, just take the ticket and everything's fine. Don't worry about it. It's 40,000 rupiah, my gift to you. But she insisted. And I was a little bit worried about her because she didn't seem to have a lot of travel experience. She seemed a little bit helpless. And she told me that she had come to Medan with a friend of hers, but then her friend had left her, had gone off to another city for some reason, and now she was here all by herself. And I got the impression that this was sort of a first-time experience for her, and she was a little bit panicked about it. She was a little bit unsure about how to navigate the world by herself here in Indonesia, and as a person from China. Google Translate wouldn't even work for her. She says, yeah, I'm having so much trouble communicating because on my phone, Google Translate doesn't work because it's blocked by China. And that just blew my mind. It's like, wow, that is absolutely crazy. How are you navigating the world? She's going around the world traveling, but she's still behind the Chinese digital firewall, which is just amazing to me. I had no idea that's how it worked. And I was thinking that in her case, if she had the money to do it, I don't know how it would work for her, but could she buy a local phone, just buy an Indonesian phone, and then everything would be wide open on that phone? But I don't know how it works with the Chinese firewall. Would it still block her? Like if she tried to sign into any of her accounts on a different phone, would the Chinese system still sniff her out and block her on an Indonesian phone? I don't know. I just don't know how any of that works. But then after that, just to make everything even easier, I was a little bit worried that she would not feel confident that this ticket is going to work for her. So we connected on WhatsApp, That did work for her. She found a way to do it. There's all these workarounds, but she did have a WhatsApp on her phone, and then I became one of her contacts. Because we were now connected on WhatsApp, I could send her copies of the ticket and of the QR code that you need to scan to get on the train, and through WhatsApp. So now she had two copies at least, and if there is any kind of a problem, she can contact me through WhatsApp. And so I felt better about that. And then I tried to tell her about the train, because getting to the train at the train station is very complicated, because it's separate from the train station itself. There's the Medan Central Railway line, but then the airport train is on a different platform. It's up above, it's on the second floor. And because of all the construction, it's really, really hard to navigate the train station. It sounds like when she went to the train station, she never even went to the Rail Link office, which is up on the second floor. I think she went into the main train station. That's where you buy tickets to go to other cities, not the airport train. So I think she was sort of in the wrong place right from the beginning. And I was trying to explain to her, okay, what you have to do to find this train, you have to go up to the second floor. So when you go to the train station, be prepared to be lost. You are going to have to ask other people, like, can you tell me how do I get to the airport train? It may not be obvious. And it was kind of interesting because she was worried about how early she had to go, because she says, yeah, like the train will be so crowded, right? It's going to be a really crowded train, and I want to make sure I can get on the train. And she was speaking from her experiences in China. And then I had to tell her, it's like, well, no, it's all reserved seating. You have a seat. And I had to point out to her, look, on your ticket it says executive coach number 1, and there's your seat number 7D. You have a reserved seat. And they only sell reserved seats. There's no standing on this train. Nobody can stand on it. They only sell tickets for every seat. And when the train, all the seats are sold, that's it. They don't sell any more tickets. And she's looking at me like I was crazy. Like, are you a crazy person? Of course the train is going to be crowded. All trains are crowded. And I was trying to tell her, no, this train, it's a really nice train. It's like riding on a luxury subway line. And I showed her pictures, because I took pictures of the train. I was showing her what the train looked like. And I said, look, nobody is standing. There is no standing on this train. There's only reserved seats. So everything will be fine, but I would still go to the train station early, because you may have trouble finding the train, but the train won't be crowded. She was worried she wouldn't be able to get on the train, and I had to explain to her that, no, you've got a reserved seat. Everything's going to be fine. And this morning I was thinking, I'd like to go to the train station with her now, because I'm kind of worried about her. Like, does she even know how to get to the train station? Does she know it? Did she even go to the right train station? Anyway, I thought it would be nice to contact her and say, listen, I'm not doing anything this morning. I'll come with you to the train station and make sure you get to the right place. But then I thought, okay, that's a bit much even for me. That would probably freak the poor woman out. Sometimes when you accept help from a stranger, maybe that stranger starts bothering you, that now you've lost independence, and you're like, okay, thank you for the help, but now you can go away. You can back off now. I don't need you becoming my shadow for the rest of my life. So I thought, okay, I'll just I helped her out, bought her the train ticket. I think she's okay, and I'll just let her go to the train station on her own. But I did say to her, for my own peace of mind, it's like, oh, when you get there and you're on the train, like, yeah, if you have a chance, just send me a message and tell me you got the train and you're on your way. I would feel better if I know that everything worked out okay. So yeah, just let me know. So we'll see. Her train I think is leaving right now. Let me double check that. Um, oh, there's I think I just got a message from her. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Oh, amazing, amazing. I just got the message. It's 7:45 that she sent it, and her train was at 8. No, it was at 7:50. Yeah, leave at 7:50, and she sent the message on 7:45, and she says, "Oh, very good English too." I'll read the whole message. She said, "Good morning. I am on the train now. Thank you so much for your help. Hope to see you again. If not, I could also see you from your sharing video on YouTube. Big smiley face. Have a nice trip." Ah, that makes me so happy. So she's on the train and she's on her way to the airport. Yeah, I felt like in terms of karma, I think I owed the world something like this, because when I was at the airport in Jakarta, the young man at the Telkomsel office, or the SIM card counter where I got my second SIM card, he helped me. He helped me download the new app for the train station, set up the OVO eWallet, and once he did that, he helped me do that. Then I was able to book the ticket myself, and he tried to help me find the shuttle bus to the hotel. So he helped me out a lot, and it felt like it was my meeting this young woman from China. It was my turn to pass it on to her. So he helped me, and now I could help her, and I'm glad to see that everything worked out. And she is on the train, and she's on her way. So I wish her well on her journey to the airport. I'd love to know more of her story, though, because yeah, she seemed like a newcomer to this world, and I assume, like, she's here in Medan, and I think most people, like, she flew here from Jakarta, and that's a pretty major flight. I mean, that's a 2-hour flight, and I was thinking, well, if you're flying all the way to Medan, you're probably going to Lake Toba, and you're probably going to Bukit Lawang, the orangutan reserve. That's the two main reasons any foreigner would come here. But it sounded like she'd only been in Medan for 2 days, and then her friend had left her. So I was wondering, why in the world would you fly all the way to Medan just for 2 days? Like, I enjoy Medan. I love a rough, tumble city like this. I think it's an interesting place. But for someone like her, why would you come all the way to Medan for 2 days? What's the attraction in this city? I couldn't figure it out. So I am kind of curious about her story, and I would like to know more. But anyway, we'll see. There she goes, on her way to the airport. I just poured myself instant cup of coffee number 2 for this morning's podcast. Yeah, so the young woman from China is on her way to the airport. I replied to her message, and I just said I'm glad to hear she got on the train. I'm relieved to hear that, because you'd hate to help someone out, promise to help someone, and then it turns out it doesn't work in the end for some reason. So everything seemed to come together, no problem. And then I did ask her whether she had any trouble finding the airport train. As I said, the railway station here in Medan is a mess. It's really hard to navigate. And I'm thinking back to my arrival this time, and I talked about it a lot in my previous podcast episode when I landed in Kuala Namu. Was so impressed with the airport, how well it's designed, how friendly and welcoming it is. And then you take the airport train, which is amazing. And then you land at the Medan railway station, and you're like, whoa, what a difference. Where have I landed? And you're just trying to find your way from the platform of the airport train. And it's such a stark contrast. And I think, yeah, when you're up there on the platform, there are luggage trolleys. A lot of people have a ton of luggage coming from the airport, and I didn't have a lot of luggage, but mine was pretty awkward to handle. So I did grab a luggage trolley, and I put my luggage on it, and I'm rolling it down the platform. But it's not really. It's dark up there, and then you're looking out from the edge of the platform. You can see the city. And again, it was dark because I arrived in the evening, and it really looks like a scary place. If you've been busy watching a lot of Batman, Penguin, Joker sort of television and movies, just think of Gotham City at night in the dark. That's what Medan looks like. It looks like a dangerous, lawless sort of place, and it has that reputation. But as far as I know, you walk all the way down to the very end of the platform, and there's one elevator there, a very small one. And then you wait for a long time in this lineup because everybody's got luggage trolleys, and only 2 or 3 people can get on the elevator at a time to take you down just one floor. And if you go that route, yeah, it takes a long time. You're waiting just this one little elevator. And what I did, I just stopped before the elevator, parked my luggage trolley, grabbed my luggage, because there's like an escalator there as well that goes down. But it's not quite sure. It's not like there are any signs guiding you at all. And then I knew from previous experience I could take that escalator, but it's always broken. It doesn't work. So most people don't want to take it, but I just picked up my bag and I walked down the unmoving escalator. And then yeah, then you scan your ticket on the way out again. A lot of people get caught by that if they have a paper ticket, because you have to scan to get in and scan to get out. And a lot of people just don't know that, and they lose their ticket, or they don't know where it is, and there's a big struggle, people trying to get out. And then once you're out down at that level, it's really confusing about where to go. Like, how in the world do I exit from this place? And there's sort of a bridge that you can follow from there. It takes you to the main railway station. And I remembered I needed to do that, so I took that bridge. And then I turned to the left, because a lot of people were turning to the left. But the left just led to a dead end. And then I remembered that as well. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. There's no exit in this direction. There are no stairs, no elevators, no doors. There's nothing. It's just a dead end. You have to go in the other direction. And again, I couldn't find a way out. And I had to speak to someone. I was like, where is the exit? How do you get out of this train station? And he just sort of pointed in that direction, the one I was heading in. He didn't say anything. He just said that way. So, okay, I'll go that way. And then I found a set of 2 elevators. All the exit signs, there were exit signs now, but they all led to these 2 elevators. And then, so I thought, oh, okay, I have to use these elevators to get out. So I'm standing there. I push the button again and again and again. And as far as I could tell, both elevators were out of service. Like no lights came on. There were no indicators. Nothing was moving. And I waited quite a while, but no elevator ever came. So I think both elevators were broken down, if they ever were working. And then you had to continue beyond that point. And then we got to what I described in my other episode, where you just basically get dumped out into this dark car ramp. And in one direction, you run into a construction barrier and barbed wire. You can't go that way. You go the other direction, and it's not meant for pedestrians. It's meant for cars. But that's the only way to get out. So to be honest, when I was thinking about going with this young woman, like helping her get to the train station, the main reason I didn't offer to do that was, to be honest, I didn't know how to get into the train station. I got out, but it was a major expedition just getting out, and I didn't know how to get back in, and I didn't want to. So I was basically offering to escort this woman to the train station, but I didn't actually know how to do it myself. So I wasn't really in a position to even help her, even if I went with her. So yeah, I figure there must be another entrance that I don't know about, because the way I exited makes no sense as an entrance. So anyway, I just let her go on her own, and yeah, she found it. So that's good news. But the other thing, just to follow up on this whole, the etiquette of helping someone else, helping someone out, I find quite interesting. And then the etiquette of a man, a strange man approaching a woman that he doesn't know to offer help. Obviously, this is going to, especially in the modern world, maybe in the 50s and the 60s when people were very trusting, it would be fine. People just trusted everybody else. But I think because of the influence of modern mass media and social media, everybody is scared these days. I'm not. I'm not scared. I'll go anywhere in the world. I'll go down any dark alleyway. I'll go anywhere I want. And you can tell me 1,000 times how dangerous it is. I'm just not going to believe you because I've been in the world. I've seen it for myself. I've met people. People are kind. People are helpful. People are nice. People are generous. I've met them. So the media tells you otherwise, but don't believe them. But you do get this message if you're on social media, if you're paying attention to any media. You're being told constantly how dangerous everywhere is in the world and how you can't trust anyone. So and it gets into your brain. So I can understand it if a young woman is instantly on her guard when a man she doesn't know approaches her, even if he's offering help. So there's a lot of, you got to be careful in your interactions, and there's etiquette involved, and there's, you have to be aware of what you're doing. And it goes all the way to the end. Like when I finished helping her get the ticket, everything was done, our whole interaction was finished, then I got up, said goodbye, and then I was going to go up the stairs to my room. And I'm hyper aware of all these situations when you're dealing with women because I don't like to make them uncomfortable. So I'm thinking, okay, where's she going to go? I don't want to make it look like I'm following her now. So I made sure that I went first because I wasn't sure if she was going to go up the stairs. So if she went up the stairs first, I would have stayed in the lobby. And I would have given her many, many minutes to go up the stairs, go to her room, because I wouldn't want to go up the stairs right behind her, because then she'd be thinking, oh, why is this man following me? I don't want him to know where my room is. Again, perfectly understandable. And I do wonder if women are aware that we men, we're making these calculations all the time. I know I am, and I'm assuming other men do it. If I'm walking down a street and it's sort of an isolated area and there's a woman ahead of me on the sidewalk, I will stop and then I will wait for her to keep going. Like I'll pretend to look at something on my phone because I don't want to give her the impression that I'm following her. Or I'll even walk to the other side of the street so that she can feel more comfortable. I'm making these calculations all day, every day. And then here in this case, as I said, if she went up the stairs first, I would have stayed in the lobby and given her lots of time to get to her room. And then now that I went up the stairs first, because she was still sitting down, but then she got up behind me. So now she was going up the stairs behind me, but somehow maybe I was projecting, but I got the sense that she was slowing down, that she was suddenly thinking, oh, I shouldn't be so close to this guy. I don't want him to see my room. So I sped up because I wanted to go up the stairs faster so that I could reach the top of the stairs, turn left, get to my room, and then she could go to her room in peace and she would know, okay, phew, he's out of sight, he's gone, he won't see where my room is. So I made that calculation as well. And I find I do stuff like that all the time. But I don't know if all men do it, but I'm sure some do to an extent. But anyway, it all ended well. And I think those are all the stories from my life here in Medan. And I've been watching some YouTube videos, of course, as always. And I'm very interested in one in particular. I've been talking about it a lot. It's a YouTube channel called Una Moto from a Canadian who just set off on a motorcycle journey around the world. And as a travel adventure, as a motorcycle journey, as a YouTube project, he is doing everything right. Like everything that I do wrong, he is actually doing everything right. And I'm enjoying his videos very much. And when I say that, what I mean is he's traveling by motorcycle. Lots of people are interested in motorcycles. You know, they may not be interested in traveling. They may not be interested in other countries. They may not be interested in the minutia of daily life and camera gear and microphones that I'm always sharing. But there's a huge audience out there for motorcycles. So he made the right choice. I want to go around the world, and I want people to follow me on YouTube, so I'm going to go by motorcycle. So that was a good choice. His videos are 25 minutes long, almost to the minute, because he's taking a lot of lessons from Itchy Boots, and he's seen her success, and he's copying everything she's doing, basically. 25-minute videos. He's including drone footage. He's including a paper map where every morning he sits down with a marker and shows his route on the paper map. And he acknowledges, he credits Itchy Boots with this idea, that he took the idea from her. And yeah, he's not showing every minute of his day. He's not showing every meal he's eating and talking about all the logistical problems. He's focusing on the highlights. The beautiful Rocky Mountains, and they really are beautiful. I'm Canadian. I've been to the Rocky Mountains. I know how beautiful they are, but even I am stunned by his videos. I'm like, wow, that's my country? I had no idea Canada was so beautiful. And I've even been there. He's right now traveling in, you would call it northern BC, but in terms of the total size of the province, it's actually central BC. But this is the area around Smithers to Terrace. So his latest video, and the video is called, it's got a little bit of an Itchy Boots quality as well, a Bald and Bankrupt quality, sort of in the clickbaity kind of sense. Where is it? I made a note about it. I have to find it really quick. Yeah, it's called, They Said Not to Do This Trail Alone. I Went Alone. And then there's a big lettering on the thumbnail, Don't Go Alone. So, you know, it's classic YouTube. Oh yeah, speaking of clickbait, this is kind of interesting because I talk about clickbait a lot and I don't like it. It's a pet peeve of mine. And I recently posted a video about me getting a haircut in Tanjung Balai. And the haircut was kind of surprising for me because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know it would happen. But at the end of the haircut, the barber gave me a head massage and a neck and shoulder massage. And then before I knew what was happening, he cracked my neck. So I wasn't quite sure what he was doing, but then he suddenly grabbed my chin and then he pulled me in one direction and he cracked my neck like a chiropractor sort of thing. And then he cracked it in the other side. And I had half an inkling of what was happening when it was happening because it also happened in my previous haircut. I can't remember where I was, but the barber also, he kind of settled in to crack my neck, but he seemed to, if I remember right, he sort of asked me, like with his eyes, he sort of stopped for a second. Okay, is this okay? And I said, no, don't do that, because I'm quite concerned about my spine, and I don't really understand this whole idea of cracking your neck like chiropractors, that sort of thing. It feels like it's asking to damage your neck and your spine or whatever. So this guy, the original barber, when he was going to go do it, I stopped him. I said, no, thanks. I don't want you to do that. But this barber, he just did it. And there wasn't really an opportunity to stop him. So he cracked my neck in one direction, then in the other. So that was kind of the highlight of the whole experience. So when I posted the video, I called the video, He Cracked My Neck. And then I had crack on the thumbnail, and the thumbnail picture is of him cracking my neck. But to my surprise, I got a lot of comments from people accusing me of clickbait. I guess I have a reputation for this now, which is kind of funny. One of the comments was, oh, sort of like how the mighty have fallen. Saint Doug has stooped to the level of cheap YouTubers. Look at him. The mighty, the saintly Doug is now using clickbait. Oh, and I'm getting a lot of criticism for using clickbait, which, of course, I completely disagree with because it's not clickbait. Clickbait is when you say something in the title that didn't happen. You say something that wasn't true, or you trick people, or you over-exaggerate everything, the dangers. That's clickbait. And you see it all the time. I mean, going all the way back to the granddaddy of YouTube, vlogging, Casey Neistat, because I think like 25% of his videos had a title like, "She Left Me," and has a picture of his wife looking angry. And of course, it's clickbait. He's implying that he's getting a divorce, that his wife has left him. And then you watch the video, and his wife went on a trip, like a conference somewhere for the weekend, or she went to visit her friend in another city and is staying overnight. So, I mean, it's just a cheap trick. It's clickbait. And then you get all the bald and bankrupt, then even itchy boots. Every video is, I almost died, and then it turns out nothing happened. The latest video I saw was, even that one was clickbait, where, I think, what was the title of the itchy boots video? Something like, my motorcycle stopped working, or my motorcycle died at 4,200 meters. And it implies, again, that she broke down. She was in the mountains. She was at a 4,200 meter pass, and now she's in trouble because her motorcycle doesn't work. That's what the title and the thumbnail is implying. But then when you watch the video, all that happened is she ran out of gas. She'd barely left the town, and she ran out of gas. But she only ran out of gas in her main tank, and she knew she had a reserve tank. So all that happened in the video was her main tank went dry, and then she switched to her reserve tank, and then drove to a gas station and got gas. So that's what actually happened. But her clickbait title tricked you into thinking that her motorcycle broke down in the mountains and that she was in trouble. That's clickbait. In my case, the barber cracked my neck, and that was the most dramatic thing that happened during this haircut. And the entire video was about the haircut. There was nothing else in the video except the haircut. So, he cracked my neck, and there it is. Perfect. It describes exactly what happened in the video. And in my Crunch Club question, I asked people, like, what do you think about this? Would you allow a barber to crack your neck like this, or do you think it's dangerous? And again, I had no idea it was even going to happen. It's not. There's other comments that accused me of becoming a cheap YouTuber, like you went there because they're implying that I went there deliberately because I knew this guy was going to crack my neck, and I knew it was dangerous, and I did all of this on purpose, which of course tells me they didn't even watch the video. They just looked at the title and the thumbnail, when in fact, I had no idea. I mean, I went there to get a haircut, and it was kind of a nice surprise at the end. The guy gave me a little massage, a little neck, scalp, shoulder massage. Like, oh, that feels kind of good. And then suddenly, crack, he cracked my neck, and it was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, so I had no idea it was going to happen. But yeah, it was kind of funny. But anyway, to everyone saying that Planet Doug has stooped to clickbait, I beg to differ. It was not clickbait. It just says what happened in the video. Nothing more, nothing less. So, it's not clickbait at all. So why was I talking about that? Oh yeah, this guy, Eric. Yeah, his name's Eric from Unamoto. Really nice Canadian. Amazing videos. I love them so much. This is my favorite YouTube channel by far right now. And then his video title, as I said, when you first look at it, you think, yeah, I don't know, a little bit clickbaity. As I said, the title is, "They said not to do this trail alone. I went alone." And then on the thumbnail, "Don't go alone." But the interesting thing is the trail that he followed. Wow, what a trail. It was a dangerous trail. Like, it was really something. And people did tell him. There was actually on the very beginning of his journey, he happened to just run into some people, like just some people on the road that he ran into. They stopped, I think they were in a car, and then he was on his motorcycle, and they were chatting, and they said, "Oh, where are you going?" And he says, "Oh, I'm going on this big motorcycle journey." And it turned out that the woman in the car had herself gone all the way around the world on a motorcycle. Had this huge journey, I think South America, Africa, Asia, the whole thing. So here, Eric, I find that kind of interesting too, where someone like Eric, people ask him, what are you doing? And then he will say, "Oh, I'm going around the world on my motorcycle." The normal reaction is for people to react with amazement and admiration, like, "Whoa, wow, all the way around the world on this motorcycle? Wow, that's incredible. I wish I could do that." But of course, he meets this woman, tells her, "I'm going around the world on my motorcycle." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, been there, done that." And then in talking to her, he finds out that her trip, I think, was probably much more ambitious than his. And like, she was the OG of going around the world by motorcycle. And then she told him about this road that he followed, this trail going over, I think it's called the Telkwa Pass, following the Telkwa River. And she told him, yeah, as you go to the north in British Columbia, you'll near Smithers, like from Smithers to Terrace, there's a pass there called the Telkwa Pass. And it's amazing, and it's beautiful, and it's gorgeous, but don't do it alone because it's really dangerous. So you really shouldn't do it alone. So this woman, an experienced round the world motorcyclist, specifically told him, don't go down this trail alone. So even his title, they said, "Don't go alone." Well, it's not clickbait because this woman really did tell him. Normally on YouTube videos, when they say, "they said," they aren't really talking about anyone in particular. It's just clickbait. "They told me I could die," that kind of thing. But his title is actually accurate. And yeah, they told him, "Don't go alone." And he did go alone. And the trail was really something. There was one part in particular that seemed very sketchy to me because this guy, Eric, on a number of occasions, he's hit like rocks. Like, he's been on really rocky roads, and he's going so slowly, his front wheel will hit a rock, and it can't go up and over the rock, so he stops dead, and then he falls over. And this has happened to him a number of times. I guess he's a little bit new on a motorcycle. He's learning how to ride it. And these roads are so rocky that, yeah, he's fallen over and got kind of knocked to the left and to the right on a number of occasions and ended up in the ditch. So now he's going down this really steep trail. Most of the time in GoPro video, when something is steep, it doesn't even look steep on the video. But in his video, it looks steep. And if a road looks steep in a GoPro video, oh man, it is steep. It has to be really steep in order for it to come across on wide-angle video. And it was rocky, like really rocky surface. And the drop-off on the edge was a cliff. I mean, it was a sharp, hard drop-off, a cliff going right down to the river. It was like really, really dangerous. And to me, it looked like it was so easy for him to hit one of these rocks, fall over, and then he could go over the edge of the road, fall down the cliff, or his front wheel could get knocked out of alignment, and before he knew it, he would just ride right off the edge of the cliff. It was sketchy. It was truly sketchy. And I've seen so many videos lately. There's even one, some of them from the We Hate the Cold guy from the UK. He's riding a little 125 trail scooter, and he was riding it through Laos. And he does a lot of voiceover narration in his videos. And then in the voiceover, he was talking about, wow, this road was so dangerous. There was like a huge cliff and it was so rocky. And yet in the video, it does not come across that way at all. The way he described it as being a steep cliff and a dangerous road and a rocky surface. It didn't look that way in reality. But this guy, Eric Unamoto, what he was describing, okay, that's what We Hate the Cold was talking about. That was a rocky road. That was a cliff. That was steep. That was very, very dangerous, very sketchy. So yeah, it was really quite something. Yeah, I enjoyed this video a great deal. And it ended, oh yeah, there's more to the video. What a crazy journey this guy is on. It ended with not a cliffhanger, but a part 1, part 2. The whole video was supposed to be going over the Telqua Pass, but he got to a point, a scenic lookout point at a lake, so where so he parked his motorcycle and he was taking video of the lake. And as he always does, again, he does the right thing. He does the itchy boots thing. He flew a drone. And yeah, I think to make any kind of YouTube videos now, if you don't have a drone, forget about it. Nobody's going to watch your videos. It has to have drone footage. So yeah, I'm thinking, Planet Doug, I have to bite the bullet at some point, and if I want to continue doing what I'm doing, if I'm able to continue, I think a drone has to be a part of it. So, but anyway, he flew his drone, and then he crashed it. I couldn't believe it. He crashed it. And not only did he crashed it on the other side of the lake in the trees. Unbelievable. Like, to make his video even more dramatic, on top of taking this very dangerous trail, he had to ride through these big water, like puddles, not puddle, like the road turned into a small pond on several occasions, and he had to ride through the ponds. And there he could easily have hit a rock and fallen over. His feet got really wet. There were some sections that the road was flooded for so long, he had to go get off his motorbike and actually walk through it, like wade through it from end to end, just to make sure that it doesn't suddenly become 6 feet deep. I mean, it was pretty sketchy what he was doing. And all of that is more than enough to sell a YouTube video as a big, dangerous, fun adventure. And on top of all that, he crashes his drone. I mean, crashing your drone would be enough for most people for a video title, right? To get people to click on it. I crashed my drone in the Rocky Mountains. But so many things happened in his video, he couldn't even fit them all in the title. So, like, really, he had a wealth of choices in terms of making an exciting title. And he could have talked about how the roads were flooded, how there was a cliff. He really could have died. Like, you get all these clickbait videos about, oh, I could have died. In this case, he could have made that part of his video title, and it wouldn't have been clickbait. It would have been accurate, because that was a very dangerous place where he rode his motorbike. And then on top of that, he was in some of the most beautiful scenery I have ever seen. The waterfalls, the Rocky Mountains, the trees. Just stunning, absolutely stunning. Like I said, I couldn't believe that was Canada. It's like, wow, I'm from that country? That's my country? I should go home. Like, why am I here? It's like, I got to go back to Canada. I had no idea Canada was so beautiful. And I think it's videos like that that make people say Canada is beautiful. Because I get that all the time. People say, where are you from? I say Canada. And they always say one of two things. They either say, oh, so cold, or they say, oh, so beautiful. Those are the only two reactions I ever get. And I always sort of downplay those when they tell them to me, because in reality, no, Canada is not cold. It really isn't. We have winter time. So in winter it's cold and we have snow. But we also have fall, we have summer, we have spring. And in the summer, it's hot. In the fall, it's cool. In the spring, it's rainy. We have 4 seasons. And I've been to so many countries around the world that were much colder than Canada, because at least in Canada, when I was living there, we have central heating. Our garages are heated, the cars are heated, the hallways are heated, the elevators are heated. And I mention this all the time, that when I was living in South Korea, that is the coldest country on the planet for me, because they also have winter, just like Canada. They have the 4 seasons, just like Canada. But then most of the apartment buildings and the schools and the hospitals, all the public buildings, they don't have heating. So everything is freezing cold. And even they don't have like furnace heating. Traditional Korean heating is under the floor, ondol heating, where they pump hot water through pipes under the floor. And the only way you can stay warm in South Korea when I was there was to lie down on the floor. And then there would be hot spots on the floor where you get burned in some places and you're ice cold in other places. Anyway, I was teaching English there, and then I would walk into the classroom and all of my students would have on like winter parkas and scarves and hoodies and gloves, and their breath was steaming. Like when they breathed out, you could see that the air was below freezing because they were breathing out steam. It was that cold inside the classrooms. So yeah, don't tell me Canada is a cold country. South Korea in the 90s, that was a cold country. Anyway, why was I talking about that? Oh yeah, because everybody will also say Canada is so beautiful, and I think it's because of videos like this one from Unamoto. Man, when I look at that, I'm like, yes, I agree, Canada is beautiful. But of course, most people don't live in the Rocky Mountains. Nobody lives out there, really. Everybody lives in Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Toronto, Montreal, Halifax, Edmonton. Yeah, they all live in the big cities. And of course, a big city in Canada looks the same as a big city anywhere else. So it's no more or less beautiful than anywhere else. You've got to go into the Telkwa Pass between Smithers and Terrace, and then, yeah, okay. But every country in the world has beautiful areas, but they tend to be outside the city, and you got to travel a long, hard trip to go see that beauty. And Canada is no different from that point of view. Anyway, I was also saying that I know this area quite well because I used to live there. There's I think it's called the Yellowhead Highway, Highway 16, is that right? But anyway, there's a highway that connects the city of Smithers to Terrace. And then if you leave from Smithers by highway, it goes to the north, straight north, and then it does a U-turn at a town called Hazelton. And at Hazelton, it turns around and comes back south and then turns west to Terrace. And the town of Hazelton is a very important city in my life because I lived there. There's a valley north of Hazelton called the Kispiox Valley, and I went there as part of a cultural exchange program, and I lived with a family in the Kispiox Valley in the Rocky Mountains for a summer, and then I returned there after the exchange program, and then I went back for a full summer and got a job building houses, and I was living in a cabin there. 2 times, I think. Did I do it 2 separate summers? Yeah. I've lived so long, I don't even remember my own life. I feel like a centuries-old wizard who's lived so many lifetimes, I don't even remember most of it anymore. But anyway, I spent a lot of time in Hazelton, and the Kispiox Valley, which is in the heart of the Rocky Mountains. And even I never saw such beautiful areas as what this guy is showing in his videos. So really, really beautiful scenery in his videos. And so anyway, he got to this lake, he flew his drone, and then he crashed it. And I just like, oh my gosh, what else is going to happen on this journey of yours? He's had so many adventures, and he hasn't even left his home province yet. I mean, what is going to happen to him when he goes all the way around the whole world? This is only the beginning, and he's had more adventures than most people have in a lifetime. It's crazy. Anyway, on his controller, on his phone, he could see the last known position of the drone. So he actually went walking around the lake to see if he could get the drone. He was hoping it didn't fall into the water or that it wasn't stuck 100 meters high at the top of a tree or something crazy like that. And his walk around the lake was amazing because he was going through dense Canadian forest, really struggling to get through that thick undergrowth. And again, I spent a lot of time out in that area, and I even had a job one summer tree planting where I had to walk through dense forest like that, planting trees. So I know exactly what that's like. And man, just him walking through that forest. And he finally, I didn't think he was going to find it, to be honest. I thought there is no way he's going to find his drone in that dense forest. But to his relief, he did find it. And he was worried about the drone, of course, because it's very expensive. He doesn't want to buy a new one. But also he wanted the footage because turned out, I thought he flew the drone and then crashed it almost instantly because that's all he showed at the beginning, launching the drone, then the crash. But it turns out he launched it and he flew it all over the lake. And you can tell that he was really dicing with disaster because most people that I've seen, they fly their drone and they fly it high. And I guess that's the safest thing to do. But he's really pushing the limits when he flies the drone. He's doing everything extreme on this journey. So he would fly the drone like right above the water. He's like skimming the surface of the lake, getting this amazing drone shot above the water. And then he would see like a valley going off up into the mountains. And then he would fly the drone up the valley and then close to these waterfalls. Like he was really pushing it. And then I guess he shot all that video of the lake, of the waterfalls, of the mountains, of the valleys. And then he got too close to the edge and he crashed into the trees. So he wanted to get all that footage. He knew what it looked like and he really wanted to put that footage in his video. So he really made a strong effort to find that drone. And to his relief, he found it. So lucky that he found it. So that was pretty amazing too. Yeah, great video. And as I said, the whole video was supposed to be about going over the Telkwa Pass, but he's still at the very beginning of it. And then because he spent so much time getting his drone back, it was too late to continue. So he just set up his tent at the side of the lake and he was going to camp there overnight. And then the next morning, so the next video, he's going to continue his journey. And then he's being very organized too with his YouTube channel where he has a schedule. Like he has an actual schedule for what day and what time he'll be posting his videos. And I think Itchy Boots has done that for a while. And I've never really paid attention to that. Maybe I should, but I'm not organized enough to do that at the moment. But the thing is, when I watch YouTube videos, I have no idea when they're posted. I don't care when they're posted. Like I don't look at notifications. I don't monitor notifications. Like Itchy Boots might post her videos twice a week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 3 p.m. Whatever her schedule is, I have no idea. But even if she tells me what time the video is going to be posted, I can't be bothered to figure out what time it is here. Like that's her time somewhere, but I don't know what the time is here and I can't be bothered to figure it out. And it's not like I'm sitting on my phone, on my laptop or tablet, waiting, oh, the new video is about to be posted and I want to watch it as soon as it's posted. It's going to show up in my feed at some point and I'll watch it when I see it. So for me, the schedule is of no benefit. So I can't imagine that anyone else cares either. But maybe there are lots of people in the world that if you do have a schedule for your videos, it really helps them and they really, really like it. But I don't get the sense that it matters. But anyway, Eric is doing it as well. And he just announced that he's going from 2 videos per week to 3 videos per week. And I don't know what that's going to mean for him in terms of how much work it is for him to do that. Because he works really hard on his videos. They're really nice. I like everything about them. This is very rare. I think most when I do YouTube stories, I'm usually being critical because I don't really find YouTube videos that I like. It's very rare, especially travel videos. Most of them, I don't enjoy what they're doing. Most people aren't doing anything that I'm interested in. And then the video itself is more about tourism rather than traveling, if you know the distinction. I don't care about waterfalls and five-star hotels and fancy gourmet dinners. Like when people go on vacation, that's what they're looking for, but I'm more interested in the nitty-gritty details of like kind of low budget travel. That sort of thing interests me more. Personal stories. Yeah. So I don't find a lot of videos like that. So I end up basically watching videos from people like Bald and Bankrupt or Backpacker Ben, and there's a lot of things in their videos that I'm critical of. But here, in a rare moment, Unamoto, I just love everything about it. His music choices are amazing. I love the music that he chooses, the cinematography, the storytelling, the what he talks about, what he shows, what he leaves out. Yeah, really cool. My all-time favorite YouTube channel right now, Unamoto. But I do wonder how long he can keep it up. It's got to be a lot of work. And I do wonder how far behind he is, because I think it's getting into wintertime in Canada, but he's clearly in the Rocky Mountains during summertime. So he could be months behind. I don't know if he is or not. And that can get very hard mentally for a YouTuber, where you post a video from 2 months ago or 3 months ago, and everybody's leaving comments talking about it as if it's happening right now. And then in your brain, you start living in 3 different time periods. You start living in the past from 3 months ago, but then you're also living in the present right now, and you're living in the time of the video that you're editing, which might have been 1 month ago. So your brain gets pulled in so many different directions, and you even forget where you are. You don't know, you wake up in the morning and it's like, where am I actually? Because, if you're actually traveling country to country, you may have flown to a new country, but you're editing video from the previous country and your brain thinks you're still there. You get really confused. You don't know where you are, and you don't know when you are anymore. So I do wonder whether Eric is going to suffer from time problems and geography problems after a while. But it ended with him setting up his tent, and that was part 1. He got his drone back. The drone still seemed to be in working condition. The gimbal was still working. And I'm waiting eagerly for part 2. And there is a new video from Itchy Boots, which I haven't watched yet. I don't know if I know the title or not. Here's the old one that I was talking about. Yeah, I thought the English was kind of interesting. This is the one where she was implying that she got in trouble at the top of a mountain. But the title of the video is, "My Bike Shut Down on Top of a 2,400 meter mountain in Turkey." So it's sort of like, I don't know. All that really happened is her main tank ran dry and she had to switch to her reserve tank. She basically, one tank ran out of gas and she had to switch to a different tank. And that's all that happened. So technically, okay, the bike did shut down. But obviously the point of the title was to trick you into thinking she had a breakdown. But hey, you got to cut her a break. Here's another video I'm looking at, because I'm looking at YouTube right now. There's a guy called Daniel Mark Johnson, a UK cyclist, and he's in the middle of cycling from the UK to Singapore, I think. And he's not in the league of Itchy Boots or Unamoto. He's not working that hard on his videos. He's just sort of doing them casually. And I check in with him from time to time. But this latest video was kind of funny for me. It was this video, the guy, Daniel Mark Johnson, and it's day 124 of his trip. And the title is, "Not Every Day Can Be Easy, Bike Touring Yunnan Province." And you can see how casual he is because he misspelled province, he misspelled Yunnan, and he didn't even try to do clickbait because he easily could have, because he was kind of in trouble on this day, and then some local people helped him out. He could have used any number of the classic YouTube cliches like, this is how the locals treat you, because he was helped out a great deal by local people. But basically what happened is he got a flat tire. And he got a flat tire right after a previous flat tire. And then when he went to fix it, he found out that he lost his pump. So he had no pump. And that's a bit of a problem. And then he didn't know what happened. Like maybe he left it behind when he fixed his other flat tire, but he was thinking it fell out of a pocket on his pannier bags. So now he was really stuck, and he tried to fix the flat, but then he turned around and he was thinking back, okay, I think the pump fell out of my bag, but I need to retrace my steps, see if I can find it. So he turned around and he said, yeah, probably the last 10 kilometers. So I think he walked his bike like 10 kilometers back down the road looking for this pump at the side of the road because he thinks it fell out of his bag. And I was thinking, as this problem was progressing, was, well, in this part of the world, there are a lot of bicycles, like in Yunnan province, and a lot of motorcycles, and there's going to be tire fixing places everywhere. So someone else can pump up your tire. It shouldn't be that big a deal. But add another wrinkle, he has Presta valves. So he has a special type of tire and tube that uses high pressure, and they use a special valve called a Presta valve. And typical bikes, like your bike, any bike you have out in the garage that isn't a racing bike, like a normal mountain bike or whatever, any bike you see probably has a Schrader valve. That's the standard valve. But it turns out his bike, his tires had Presta valves. So even though all these people around him, local people, had pumps, and even some local children came up to him and said, oh yeah, my father has a pump, and let's go to my house and you can pump up your tire. But it turns out it was a pump with a Schrader attachment, not a Presta. So he wasn't able to use it. And that kind of puzzled me, because I know about this issue. If I'm going to get on a bike and ride around the world, I'm very aware of making a decision. Do I want to have a Presta or a Schrader? And of course, I'm going to choose Schrader because that is the most common. But if you happen to want to use Presta, well, there's an adapter, a thing that weighs like 5 grams. There's like this very, very simple adapter that allows you to use a Schrader pump on a Presta valve. So, of course, I'm watching the video and I want to write in the comments, yeah, just to help you out, you can buy a very, very simple adapter. If you had this adapter, you could use a Schrader pump on your Presta valve tubes, right? But of course, it doesn't help him. I didn't do that. I didn't leave the comment, mainly because I'm pretty sure someone else is going to leave the same comment. Whenever you have a problem, people try to help you out and they give you advice. So somebody's going to tell him about this adapter. He probably knows about the adapter, and obviously, for whatever reason, he didn't bring one, and he's not going to be able to find one there. So even if you tell him, yeah, you should get this adapter, it works really well, he'll write back, well, dude, I'm in the middle of China in the countryside. It's not like I can find one of these adapters here. So thanks for the advice, but yeah, it doesn't really help me out right now. So sometimes offering this advice or this information doesn't always help the person out. Better to keep your mouth shut. Yeah, I was looking for the new Itchy Boots video. I think I have to go to YouTube to find it. There it is. So the newest video from Itchy Boots, posted 9 hours ago, according to my phone, is called Inside the inside the volcano, inside the most active volcano of Turkey. You won't believe this. So that will be the next video that I watch over coffee this morning. 23 minutes long. Yeah, her videos in Turkey, they seem to be getting shorter, and I think that's because she's not finding it as challenging there. So I think her days are fairly easy right now. She's riding in Turkey. Things are working out for her. It's not like Africa where she ended up in 3 feet of mud, dumping her bike into a river, falling off the ferries, breaking her shoulder after an accident. Like, she had a lot of, Africa was quite challenging. So I think Turkey is coming fairly easy to her right now. So she wakes up in the morning, rides her motorcycle. She's very, very good at picking beautiful roads with really nice scenery. She manages to stitch together a route that brings her through the most beautiful areas of Turkey. And now, of course, she included this volcano on her route. And I think she rides her motorbike, nice road, goes to the volcano, flies her drone, comes down, gets to the next town, stays in a hotel. So I don't think there's a lot of drama in her days right now. And I think that's leading to her videos being a little bit shorter than normal. There aren't as many things to show, not as many things to talk about. So 23 minutes. And
so you see, that is
it's 11 hours ago now, and the video has 235,000 views, and it's probably going to top off at 500,000, which is quite cool. 1,500 comments. That's amazing. I do see a lot of comments from people telling her how amazing the music is. And most of the time, I don't like the music she picks. It's like this over-the-top, very dramatic orchestral music. It's almost like too much, which is why I like the music from Eric on Unamoto. It's a little bit more understated. He'll put in some of this dramatic music, but it really fits. Like when he showed those amazing waterfalls in the Telkwa Pass, then he used some orchestral, and it was like, wow, well, this is fitting. But then he also picks more down-to-earth, sort of human-style music. And so I do find a lot of the music Itchy Boots uses is not to my taste, but I do notice a lot of people love that music, and she gets so much positive feedback about how much they like it. So that's probably why she keeps using it. As they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you're getting 500,000 views for your videos, well, wow, you are doing something right. Absolutely. All right, I think I have run not to the end of my topics, but I have come to the end of my voice for this morning. I think I will end things here. I have other things I could talk about. Of course, there's always a lot going on. But yeah, I think I will end things there for now. I still have some of my second cup of coffee left, and I will watch the new video from Itchy Boots before I move on to the rest of my day. And the rest of my day is going to involve a lot of technology. I'm still working on Patreon. I'm adjusting my ideas about Patreon, trying to figure things out before I make it public. And today and tomorrow, I'm finally going to boot up my new laptop. I haven't even done that yet. And that's because I've been so busy and because of technology being complicated. So there is this thing where, tune out now if you don't want more technology talk. But when I was back in Port Dickson, another Planet Doug subscriber gave me an older laptop because my laptop broke, and he had an old one, an old Asus VivoBook, kicking around his house that his children used to use, and nobody was really using it anymore. And he thought, oh, maybe Doug can use this to edit video. So he gave it to me, but it turned out it couldn't edit video, so it really wasn't that useful to me for that. But I could use it for web surfing, for building my Patreon, for replying to comments, for writing emails, everything else I need to do online. So that laptop was very, very helpful to me, just not for editing video. But then it also broke down. So it just stopped working. I got the blue screen of death. And I knew there was a problem with it. I think the SSD drive was faulty, because every time I tried to open up a folder to get to copy a video file or text document or something, it would take like 5 minutes to open the folder. And booting the laptop would take 8 minutes. Like when you turn on the computer, I could go take a shower, make a cup of coffee, and then it still wouldn't have finished booting up by the time I returned. It took that long to turn on. So there was something physically wrong with it, and I think it was the SSD drive. And then when I was I was using it in, Port Dickson, and then I brought it. I brought it with me to Sumatra. I was going to continue to use it in Sumatra, and then I kept getting the blue screen of death, saying there's a problem and your computer needs to restart, reboot, and restart. That was happening all the time, right from the beginning. But then in Tanjung Balai, it was happening more and more often. And then when I got back to, I think I was in Kuala Lumpur, I turned on the laptop, I got the blue screen of death, and that was it. I couldn't get past it. No matter how many times I went through the rebooting, restarting sequence, the computer would no longer start. So I was stuck. But when the computer stuck, all of my accounts were open on that computer. So my Google account was open, my Microsoft Outlook account was open, my photo archives, like every single account that I have in the world was open on that laptop when it shut down. So in theory, because I'm going to give that laptop back to the person who gave it to me because I don't need it anymore because I was given a brand new laptop. But now I'm giving the laptop back to this person, and then if they send it into a repair shop and then someone manages to turn it back on, all of my accounts will be open on that laptop when they open up that computer. You see what I mean? So it's a little bit of a security risk. I don't know whether they're going to give the laptop to someone else, sell it to someone else, but right now, I know from experience, if they manage to get the computer working and then they load Google Chrome, everything will be open and they'll have access to my entire life. Bank accounts, email address, the whole thing was open. So what I have to do before I can turn on my brand new Asus TUF, I have to somehow log out of all of my accounts, change my passwords, and then log back in on all my phones and my tablet. I have to do all of that before I can turn on this new laptop, because I don't want to turn on this new laptop, install Windows, go through the entire setup process, log into my Google account, etc. And then now I have to change everything all over again. So that's one of the reasons I haven't even installed Windows or turned on this laptop yet. I've been very busy, but at the same time, before I do that, I have to log out of all of my accounts first. And I have to figure out how to do that. Some ways you can log out individually, and I did that for some accounts already, where you can go into the account settings and you can see how many devices you're logged in on. So you can say, oh, I'm logged in on my smartphone, I'm logged in on this laptop, I'm logged in on that. And you can pick the laptop and say, log out on that laptop only. So I did that for a few accounts, but for some reason I can't do that with Microsoft, and I can't do that with Google, which are the two most important accounts. So the only way to do it, as far as I can figure out, you can do one of two things. You can say log out of everything, and that will log me out of all of my accounts on all of my devices forever. But then I'm not 100% positive that it will log me out on that Asus VivoBook. I think it will, but I'm not entirely sure. But the other option is just to change my password. So if I go into Google and I change my password for Google, I'm told, okay, I pick up one smartphone, I change the password on my Google account on that phone, it will automatically log me out of all my other devices, and I will have to put in my password in order to log back in. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to take one of my phones, my number one phone, log out of Google. Well, no, I'll change my password for Google, which means I'll have to log back in with my new password. And then I can look at my other devices and see whether I was logged out on all my other devices. I should be. And if it works, I will change passwords on all my accounts. And that's probably going to take the entire day today, to be honest. These things always take so long. I'm going to log out of, change the password on all of my accounts, and then log back in on all my devices. And therefore, I should be logged out of the Asus VivoBook, which is back in Malaysia. And then tomorrow, I can wake up refreshed and finally come to grips with my brand new Asus Tough. And that should be quite exciting. I haven't been replying to YouTube comments, and that's mainly because I like to do that in writing. I like to sit down at a keyboard and write to people. And I just don't have a keyboard anymore. I don't have anything I can type on. So it'll be nice to get the Asus Tough back up and running. And yeah. All right. That is what I'm going to do today. More technology and more hanging out in Medan. So that is it. Shutting down. Thank you for hanging out with me for a little while. I'm giving you an insight into the world of Planet Doug. And yeah. Hope you come back. And if you come back for the next one, I will talk to you then. See you next time.